I'd like to call to order this meeting of the RSU 25 School Board for November. Thank you all for coming. Would you all please join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jim, could we please take the attendance?
I have taken the attendance and we are 100% in attendance.
Excellent. Jim, are there any adjustments to the agenda?
I have two adjustments, if you may. I'd like to add an item L6, which is recognition of our state champions. We have quite a few of them that showed up. And I'd like to move that to right after the adjustments.
Perfect.
Okay. And also I'd like to add L7, which would be discussion and overview of the experience of our board members at the MSMA Fall Conference. And we'll take that up in order.
Perfect. Then with no further ado, let us recognize our state champions.
Okay, I'll ask Mr. Tripp to step forward.
So this is like the best opportunity to speak in front of a school board ever, when you actually just get to bring in student athletes that had successful seasons. So, and it's not often you can bring multiple state champions before the school board. So first, we're actually going to go backwards to last spring. So as you know, our baseball team won their first ever state championship last June. Obviously, it happened after our June school board meeting, and then summer hit, but we want to make sure that we were able to recognize them. We have a smaller subset because we had a lot of seniors last year, but it was really a great season that culminated in a pretty thrilling 1-0 state championship baseball game. So I'll invite the kids up to recognize, and I'll have Coach Jackson just say a little bit about the team.
Yeah, grab it. That's all yours.
Yeah, sir.
We're a trophy.
They didn't give it to me. So I just wanted to take a moment just to thank you guys for allowing us to come up here and be recognized. This was just a great season from beginning to end. So, I mean, this is a group of kids that a bunch of them have played together for years. A few of them kind of came into the mix in the middle of it. But they formed a family and a brotherhood, and they played in a way that is just magic to watch. I mean, there was nothing that got too high for them, nothing that got too low. The moment got too big. It didn't matter if it was a game against, a lower level team or in the state game. Their initiative went the same every single game. Right up through Lisbon. I mean, a 1-0 game, that's a game that, I mean, every moment of that game mattered, and you didn't see them rise or fall at all. They played right here, they played their game, they took care of it. It was a joy to watch. And I also want to thank all of you guys that came up to support us throughout the season, because we turned Mansfield for both regionals and states into just a complete home game. That place was insane for both nights. The receptions in town, both times are awesome. And since then, I think the boys probably hear it all the time too, but it's been great to hear the support from everybody since the win. And we also want to say congratulations to the girls for coming away with their first ever state title. I mean, it's pretty great to have one school year or calendar year where we get to have a couple firsts and the gold just come to Bucksport. We love it. And congrats to Will for going down and taking down states, and then having a great showing at New England as well. So it's a great time to be an athlete here, and a student athlete at that. So congratulations, guys. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Like Coach I said, there were a lot of fun watching that playoff run. There was actually a lot of great baseball games throughout there. And I would have wished, I like 5-0 games where you don't have to kind of sweat it out so much, but we'll take the 1-0, which is
Related to the guys in suspension.
So next we want to bring up Will Howland and Coach Jones. So Will was a state championship runner for cross country, regional winner, and finished, I want to make sure I have the place right, was at 35th this weekend at New England's, but so I will stop talking. So make sure, but Will said a great 2 or 3 years here at Bucksport High School, and I'll let Coach Jones finish the rest of it. Congratulations, Will. Hey, Josh. Okay, no problem. I'd like to introduce to you and recognize Will Highland, and maybe this past summer, you might have seen Will running around the lake, putting in 40, 50 miles a week, and it certainly paid off. Will Hyman won both the Class C regional race, as Josh said, and the Class C state meet. He had the 4th fastest time on that state meet course overall, and it qualified him for the New Englands, which he competed in this past weekend in Rhode Island. Placed 31st out of 260 runners, and was just 4 seconds from the All New England team. You know, 4 seconds. Next year, that's our goal next year. And I'd just like to finish that his dedication to the sport of running, and I just checked this when I got home, but I believe, unless someone can tell me differently, that he's the most decorated runner in Bucksport high school history. He now has 5 state individual championships, and 2, including 2 PVC cross country runner of the years as well. And it's a true testament to just how hard he runs and the amount of time that he puts into the sport that he truly loves. Thank you. Congratulations, Kimbrel. And so our last group, the most recent one, so our girls varsity soccer team, obviously just kept off an unbelievable season and had a great state championship game. And again, it was a great turnout. So I will invite Coach Garcelon, Coach Lanford, Coach Everhart. I mean, yeah, they have lots of coaches, so I don't know if I missed any. I'll invite them up to introduce girls.
Yeah.
Oh.
Watch it.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody. What an incredible season it was. You know, we had such support when we got to hand in the state game, and the crowd erupted as the girls were doing their warm-up lap. It really gave us a sense of comfort in that. They had an incredible season. Last year, that you remember, this group was undefeated until the state game, and right afterwards, they dedicated themselves to going back and having another undefeated season and winning the state title, which they did. I'd like to thank the administration and all of you folks for the support that we've had over the last couple of years, especially. You know, it's been an incredible run, and the girls deserve all the credit.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us here tonight. Again, thank you to all these amazing girls who dedicated 5 months just this season. But I also want to thank our amazing coaches, Mr. Everhart, our goalie coach, who does it out of the kindness of his heart. And we have given him some interesting choices in the past. So he does awesome. And Jack, who's unable to be here tonight, Jack, who is completely obsessed, messages at 4 a.m. about who he scouted at 3 a.m. You know, he's amazing. And Matt, our ultimate ball boy, there he is. And just thank you to Mr. Ward and Mr. Tripp for putting up with all of our ideas and wants and needs over this season. And it's just been an amazing ride. And I'm so proud of these girls. And we're not done yet, but hopefully a few more balls to come.
Thank you so much.
So like that, all the coaches said, I want to thank all the athletes, and we have you hear me say all the time, we have a great student body, and we have a huge participation rate. I think we're right around 70% of our students participate in some sort of extracurricular activity. And they're just great ambassadors of the school. They carry themselves very well on the field, off the field, and it's just a pleasure to watch them. It's great when they win and bring home. I mean, I don't want to see the bill that Director Gagan's going to send me for gas money for all the parades that he has to keep bleeding through town. It's expensive to run the ambulance and the fire trucks. And the number of complaints he gets when they run the sirens at 11 o'clock at night. But that's okay, it's well worth it. And again, we're just very fortunate to be able to have this happen consistently. So thank you again for all your support and for allowing me to bring them for you tonight. Thank you.
And goodbye, everybody. Thank you very much.
You guys can stay.
And as our public will quickly leaves, the building, it's time for public participation. This is the time that the public can participate. If you would like to participate and you're not here, you may publicly participate through email at publiccomment@rsu25.org, or you may phone in for public comment at 307-8099. But if you happen to have retained yourself here and you would like to comment now is your chance. And I don't see anyone. So we can move on to approval of the minutes.
You have two sets of minutes in your packet, regular meeting of October 18, 2022, and special meeting October 24, 2022.
I would look for a motion to approve the minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes of October 18, 2022 and October 24, 2022 as listed.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have communications and correspondence.
Pretty thin this month, so I have none to send forward, so that'll go quickly.
Excellent. All right. Next, we have the superintendent's report.
You have my written report. A lot of it is tied directly to the agenda. I am happy to address any questions there, but while I have the opportunity, I just want to point out today, many of the board members hopefully saw the email I sent out of the foolishness that went on across the state of Maine. It's unfortunate how disruptive that was. Everything was 100% a hoax. There were a number of schools that were receiving these hoaxes. Sanford was one of them. I know Brewer received one, Ellsworth received one, Gardner, and Winslow. There are other schools that very, very disruptive. I can tell you here, we received communication via email from the state system and email from the state police and everything. So just as I was opening up that email, I received a call from Public Safety Director Gagan. And right off the bat, he said, we're already on this. Want to make sure you were reading the same thing I was. He had officers on Miles Lane, patrolling Miles Lane. The SRO, of course, was in the buildings. He himself moved up and went in the buildings. He personally went and met with each of the officers and the secretarial staff just to make sure that they were comfortable and understood what we were looking to do if we got any calls. We were prepared. While he was doing that, I was working with the bus company. We had buses ready to roll if we needed to transfer kids. We also had communications going out to staff and to parents. So we were trying to stay on top of this as much as we could. Fortunately, it was a hoax. Minimal disruption to the academic day. More of the disruption came with parents becoming uneasy and upsetting, which is very understandable, and the work that the administrators had to do in the building. But it's unfortunate that's where we are in a society. Hopefully the FBI can find this person and take care of it. But I'm pleased to report that our systems worked effectively. We responded in an appropriate manner. We will certainly debrief, as we always do, about did we miss something? Is there something we could do better? And each time we go through one of these things, it's you say, yeah, you know, we could have done this a little bit better. But I wanted you folks to be aware of what we dealt with and what's going on. And again, encourage you that anytime something like this is happening, you're going to see an email from me so you can be prepared if you get calls from the community. It's important that you're, you know, armed with that information, as accurate as we can give you, as up to date. That's what I have for you.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions for Jim? The superintendent's report. I just wanted to let you know of all of the wonderful things that we've done this fall, but we've kind of already done that. But just to let you know, the boys soccer did have an amazing year. They did get crunched in finals. But they had their most winning season that they've ever had. They won undefeated, so that's their first time that that's ever happened. We had some boys that broke all kinds of school records, and so they had a very eventful year as well. And the girls, well, I mean, you've already seen, they had the most fantastic year anyone could ever possibly wish for. So really, our fall sports just did phenomenal this year. And because of that, I've gotten to go out, talk to a whole lot of people at lots of events, which has been kind of unlike our COVID season years. And the general attitude has been very positive. So I'm gonna bring that back to it.
If I can, not to forget, boys soccer coach, Coach Boyden,
Yes.
was recognized by his peers and coach of the year.
Which is absolutely perfect. I think that's probably because he didn't get any red cards this year. Yellow cards, whatever color it was supposed to be.
Supposed to not get any cards.
Unless if you're,
Agreed.
really.
Yellow
deserve it,
is
then you're-
preferable to red,
Yeah.
but
So, It's good. It's good to know. Thank you. Next, we have committee reports. We have curriculum committee. Abby?
so we did not meet our agenda. Big agenda item person needed to postpone till next month. And I was out of town going to attend virtually anyway, so we decided to postpone till next month.
Finance committee met before this meeting. We discussed our finances, all of the cost center budget report items are well within budget, and we're looking strong so far. We also discussed food service, which currently, correct me if I'm wrong, is in the hole $167,000.
No, 163.
163,
Okay,
3 over. Close.
but the good news,
But there's good news in that we built the state and they are intending to,
pay us 167,000.
that's where the 167 is. So
We're ahead barely
we,
if we get that.
Once we get the check.
once we get
Just
the
win.
check, we
It's in the
should be
mail.
okay.
It's in the mail.
It's in the mail. Yeah. Any questions on finance? No. Okay. Policy committee.
Policy committee, we did meet, bringing 2 policies forward this evening for first reading.
Facilities.
Yeah, we met last week and we were updated on the lead testing and where they're progressing with that. High school, Miles Lane and middle school are in good shape and they're still changing out some fixtures and do it and getting ready to retest. The middle school athletic fields, all the work is done for this year. They'll be coming back next spring to finish up that project. And let's see, and they did some inspections of some of the curtains and stuff in the Performing Arts Center. And we're waiting on a report for that.
Any questions on either policy or facilities? Sorry, I skipped on policies. Okay. And HCTC.
We did not meet this month.
All right, we have no old business, new business. We have some resignations and retirement.
We have one resignation to bring forward, that's Emma Spangler, special education ed tech.
Motion.
I move that we accept the resignation with regret.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. So we have nominations.
I have nominations for both support personnel and coaches and co-curricular individual support personnel. Tammy Conradi for special education ed tech 1, Aaron Lynn, sped ed tech 3, Jan Simpson, and I believe Jan is here. Hello. DHS secretary, she's going to start July 1, but we know of a retirement that's occurring. and where we're transitioning into the new financial software. It's important we got her on board quickly so Katie can get it trained up and ready to go. So that's taken care of. Yep, also for co-curricular, Matt Schmidt, boys BMS basketball volunteer, Sarah Jackson, BMS cheering volunteer, Josh Jackson, who has left, weight room supervisor, which is something we've been doing before, and Joey Dorr, BMS robotics coach. That is what I have for you this evening.
We have a BMS for box.
Oh, did you say Edmund? Wow.
Yeah.
That's like super exciting.
I thought they were adding a high school coach. I just was on autopilot. Wow, that's so cool.
All right, very cool.
I know,
Very cool.
Mr. West is pretty excited about this candidate,
Very
right
nice.
up his alley.
Well, I'm very excited too.
Excellent. All right. Well, then I would look for a motion.
Well, I move that we accept the nominations as a block.
Second,
All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have discussion of adding girls volleyball at BMS. Big day for BMS.
It is.
It's a lot about BMS. So in my board report, I talked about this, just as an overview. Volleyball is a varsity sport here at the high school, and I forget when it was added, but it was prior to when I arrived. It's been here for more than 12, 13 years. Yeah, so
She
quite a
started,
while.
I don't know when it
Yeah.
was.
But there's never been a corresponding middle school program. The kiddos get exposure during phys ed class, it's pretty minimal, but that's the exposure they get here. An opportunity presented itself. There's a formation of a group of schools right here in the area that are starting middle school volleyball. And they reached out to BMS to see if we would be interested in participating. Those schools include Brewer, I know Camden's included, Nokomis, MDI, and possibly Central Middle School as well.
A lot of our rivals.
Well, they're right here. We hang out with them. So the proposal, Mr. McGeechan was tasked with doing some research for us. And he's presented that information. I shared it in my report, and I'll overview now that what they would be looking at is a proposed schedule that would be approximately 12 games. Okay, with the idea if they're going to play 2 to 3 matches per week. Okay, home and away. All right. It's designed, the program's designed for girls grades 6 through 8, and if you look at our policies, we have numbers of players for each, not set, but this is what we'd like to see. This is a sport where you're looking at probably having, around 15 players, maybe 1 or 2 more, 1 or 2 less, but somewhere around that. You would obviously have a coach. So you have a cost of coaching, which we've estimated at $1,800. Uniforms, Mr. McGeechan got a quote for 20 uniforms because you can have a few more than you have kids, just for middle school kids have different sizes and everything. So that's $1,350. Volleyballs would be about $350. Volleyball standards with nets. Now, we used to have, before we put the new gym floor in, they used to have the kind that would set right in the floor, like we do here at the high school. When we put the new floor in, we did not do that. And so that's something down the road we'd have to look at, but we can purchase standard volleyball standards, which are not your typical phys ed standards. They're double the weight, which is a safety issue, with pads on them. That's for $1,850. These are quotes that Kyle's already received. Travel, I've worked with the transportation with busing, and it'd be about $1,100 a year. Officials about $1,300 a year. That's an estimated year one cost of about $7,750. The good news is there's some equipment that already exists here with the high school that we could share, like the official stand, even volleyballs. There's plenty of volleyballs here. We can take the card up to volleyballs. Also, we have a gift of money from a benefactor, and I was directed to use it the highest and best possible, so that can offset a lot of the startup costs. So the impact locally would be basically the coaching, travel, and officials. Started. There is a level of interest. I don't know how much survey is done, but I do know there's a level of interest, and So I think it would be a reasonable opportunity to start. I would personally love to see it because it's gonna support the varsity program and these kids. And it's a different group of kids than do other sports. Timing of this in middle school is interesting because middle school sports do not run parallel to the high school MPA sports. There's actually an intercession between basketball and the spring sports, and that's where we put wrestling. And this would run at the same time as that wrestling window. So there's no conflict there. Happy to answer any questions, but that's the information that I appreciate Mr. McGeechan's effort in doing this. He was pretty thorough, and I appreciate that.
A lot of those costs are non-reoccurring too, or very rarely reoccurring.
Uniforms, you're looking at a 5 or 6 year cycle.
I think it all sounds very reasonable.
Four.
The floor previously had recesses that standards could be put into without having to have a weighted base. And now because those recesses were not installed in the new floor, we're going to have to buy weighted standards that sit above.
But it isn't something we can
It's not
forward to
something
where
we
it's
can
supposed to be
retroact.
Oh, we could later on, but it's not something I worry about.
for this season.
No, I wouldn't worry about that. That's down the road.
That's a large.
So this would be in the spring. Is
Okay,
Yes.
I
there
just
any way
didn't
that
know.
we could bring this, have some games down here at the high school?
Well, that's possible if the high school's willing to share.
But they have baseball.
Good point.
They also have their own volleyball team that I'm
But
assuming.
no,
is
No,
already-
that happens.
But that's
in
the
but
fall.
Oh,
The
spring.
answer is yes.
Okay, that might save.
And since we have redone that middle school facility, I don't think people have as much heartache having to go up there for practices. So the quality of the gymnasium is
Yeah.
quite a high standard, so. So yes, there is a potential they could come down here and possibly do some matches.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Be kind of.
We have to line the floor.
I think we painted that.
We did that.
That's
Is it all
already-
lined?
That was originally painted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Since COVID, I've been in Simsbury.
So,
I mean, the last time I've been in the middle school gym was when they were doing all of the work.
Yeah.
So,
It's ready to go. It's actually a very nice facility for volleyball.
School board and everything.
The school board's right there. You can, nice place for stands.
it's exciting to expand so that there's gonna be more children involved with things.
More opportunities for the kids. And, you know, again, if you're gonna run a varsity sport, and we're asking our kids to compete against these schools that have volleyball programs at the younger levels and
More experience.
more
than-
experience, and our kiddos are touching it for the first time as freshmen and sophomores, it's, you know, it'd be nice to give them that opportunity, chance to support your program.
So you said it would be in that window of between, and then they wouldn't compete with softball or baseball? No, softball.
No, so kids can play basketball, and they can do volleyball, and they can go do softball.
Wrestling's about the only thing that-
Yeah, but there's room for wrestling. No problem.
That's great.
I think it's good for the other schools too. From what I understand, and I don't understand much about sports, but what I do understand, Nokomis is a pretty fierce competitor. So, I mean, that's been my experience.
I've been there, done that, they're not that tough.
They're not that tough.
That's so you know, I used to be the athletic director.
I didn't know that.
So they're all starting fresh. Then, yeah. There's
Well, they've
schools that
got
have already
clubs,
played,
and
sorry.
they've got more formalized than what we have. We really done nothing but phys ed. There is a level of interest.
Is there an existing league? Like a-
This is it.
This would
It's starting
be the
up. It's
beginning.
just a
Yeah.
start
So
up.
it
That's
would
part of
be
why
other
we didn't
leagues.
do the floor, as we said.
There
We
was
don't have
no
a
league.
team, there's no league, it doesn't seem like there's
Okay.
a prospect on the
Not
horizon.
like club league or something like that.
No,
No competitive.
no, there's nothing there. I mean, there's some outside US softball, I mean, US volleyball stuff. They've got some of that going on,
Mhm.
but this is truly a school-based program. And, you know, the nice part is I don't know where Central is in Warrenton, whether they're gonna do it or not, but you go to Brewer, that's not that far away. Nokomis is a long run, but it's really.
Brewer's actually where I play volleyball as an adult.
You know,
Ah.
MBI is
Monday
actually.
night.
Happy bringing it.
So, any down these teams, they're the ones that.
No down east teams yet. Okay, this is just a
Okay,
group, a consortium.
because they usually.
Oh, the Down East teams,
they
they
have
take
everything.
volleyball very
Oh, yeah,
seriously.
they-
Yes, they
They
do.
kind of started
Yeah.
this year.
So I just want to make sure, I don't want to make any assumptions, but it sounds like even though there's a little bit of cost financially, we can support that.
We should be able to swing this. yeah.
Perfect.
I'm not concerned with the cost.
I think it's great then. More opportunities for our kids.
Any names yet, for coaches and throwing out there,
Well,
interest?
there are people who are interested, I'll
Okay,
leave it at
good.
that.
Yeah.
We haven't posted or, nor have we recruited, but I do know there are people that are genuinely interested.
And you might be able to get a referee on the real cheap at a Dennis Kunz's.
Yeah. That'd be interesting.
I don't
You gotta
know.
get them through
My dad.
The
still
Down East
referees.
board.
Oh, I see.
you know. So if you got a referee sport,
He loves
volleyball,
doing
straight,
volleyball.
stand up on there, you go like this.
Yeah, that's why he does volleyball and not
Yeah.
basketball
You
and
don't
soccer
have to chase
anymore.
kids, you get to stand there and watch.
Scared. Pretty easy.
Bob Sim looks at it.
He's 75.
So much easier. to
Sit in the
just
chair.
running in and out. Give me that.
Okay. So what are we looking for, Jim? Are we just
You're looking,
having a discussion or are you?
Or do
looking
we
for
need a
motion?
motion?
It's my recommendation, I believe I'm speaking for Mr. West too, we would love to see you formalize this and direct us to move forward and begin to advertise for a coach and order uniforms, order equipment and get moving.
And I would look for
I
such a
would
motion.
make a motion to add girls volleyball at BMS and take the corresponding actions to make that happen.
Second?
We have a
Oh, I
motion.
have one more question.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, sorry, one
No,
more.
this is the time for it.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So are we gonna do varsity and JV? Are we gonna do two teams or are we just gonna
One
do
team
one?
to start with at the middle school.
Okay, but do we think that we might, if there's enough interest, eventually expand to a
We will
two?
see where it goes.
All right, then I'm ready to go. Okay.
All right.
Bring
We
the
have a
hard
motion
questions.
and a second.
I know, I just.
All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Great. That's the reason why these folks are sitting over here.
Maybe a little bit.
Just a little bit. Learning how. to
All right.
Can I just ask a question? Am I allowed to just ask?
Yes.
I'm just trying to save a cost or whatever. I know the girls soccer team, they all had their jerseys. And a lot of the girls just wore their own black shorts. So I don't know, like, it's a cost thing for the whole, like, top to bottom thing is maybe just off of, you know, they wear their own shorts. You mentioned that you're not worried about the cost, and I think it's fantastic. Well, my daughter wants to play.
We're in a rare position where we have a very nice, generous benefactor and has made a contribution and literally has said, please work with your administrators and use it to the highest and best use possible. And this fits right into that.
Or maybe the high school gets the new jerseys and it's thrown out there.
That's happened.
Did they?
Used to.
So
The sizes are different.
where are the old ones? Are the old ones still around?
Still be old.
Basketball.
Yeah.
Did this
We'll explore
benefactor
everything.
request anonymity?
What's that?
Did this benefactor request anonymity?
Okay. Good enough.
Fair enough.
Somebody's willing to give me money, I don't need to.
Exactly.
And I feel comfortable the sourcing money meets all the requirements of the federal government, so. we're good there.
All right.
Not wandering it.
We're all good, yeah.
All right, well, I guess we got this from each and get to work. Perfect. I love it. Perfect.
Great. Next, we have first reading of policies.
Yep, you have, well, actually, one policy and a plan. The Family Medical Leave Plan, GBN, was updated because of all the changes in laws and everything. We need to keep current with that, make sure the language in our plans are parallel to what's supposed to be according to law. And so those updates have occurred. We're all set to go there. We used MSMA's model, which is drafted in conjunction with Drummond Woodson Law Firm. That keeps us out of trouble. I believe, and policy committee members can correct me if I'm wrong, but one thing we did change is we don't do comp pay.
Right, correct.
And so we struck the comp pay language out of the draft and so we brought forward this for first reading. The affirmative action plan, ours was originally written in 2010, so we're only 12 years out of date. So that was kind of an extensive rewrite. It has been rewritten. It actually has to list the people who are in certain positions who our affirmative action officer is. Hi, Ms. Marks. Yeah, he's gone through that training and everything. So what we have brought forward from the policy committee is a policy and a plan that does meet the requirements of the state of Maine and what we need to have. So I'm good to go. As far as affirmative action plan goes, there's some required steps in there that we have to take a look at the demographics of our communities we serve. Our staffing and hiring should be relatively parallel to what we're seeing in our community. And we cannot hire and discriminate. That's the upshot. And if there is an issue, there's a place where people can go and express their concerns and move forward. So I have for you, first reading.
I move that we accept the, we have a question. Go ahead.
When they're posted online, usually the changes are in yellow. Was nothing changed from any of these?
There were such extensive changes that you'd have everything crossed out. It wasn't worthwhile doing that. I mean, literally, the affirmative action plan went from 2.5 paragraphs to 3.5 pages.
Oh, so basically like everything.
Total rewrite.
Oh, okay, okay,
That's the reason why.
okay.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Great question.
And this is all due to state law change.
State and federal law changes, yes. Beyond my pay grade.
I move that we accept the first reading of the policy and plan listed.
Second,
All those in favor? That's unanimous. Next, we have second reading.
These policies are the slate of first readings you had last time. They come back to you. No changes have been made, no adjustments.
These are also due to state law change.
This is all updating. And you know, we're gonna have to come back next time. We'll be looking at GBN 1 and GBN 2, which is, so we have to take a look at those as well. So this is all adjusting to the changes in law.
Well, I move that we accept the second reading of the policies listed.
second,
All those in favor? Next, we have principal and administrator reports. I think he has. Next, we have Christine.
Evening, everybody. So you have a copy of my report. Happy to answer any questions you have, but just a couple of highlights on what's been going on and continuing with my Curriculum Matters newsletter. Just kind of giving you a glimpse and the staff a glimpse of things that are happening around the district because I get the opportunity to visit all the schools, so I'm a lucky one. So I try to highlight different things that I'm seeing in various classrooms. So I gave you a copy of that, and then just wanted to let you know that fall NMEA testing has ended. Thank you, principals. We all made the 95% or higher. I bugged them enough about it, so I appreciate that. And you know, Mr. LaPlante Reach also helped us out with that to make sure our numbers were at the point where they needed to be. So we are all set there. We have to do it again in the spring. So I'll be bugging them again in the spring to get there. Our state data, so that was not available when I did my presentation for you, the state version of the NMEA data. It has been published in the system that districts get to see it first and review it for accuracy, just to make sure that there are no discrepancies in the kids that we tested. And that period, I've already done ours, so we're all set there. I've already reviewed that. But the period ends this Friday for the review, and then those results will go live on the main DOE dashboard. So once that takes place and they've done whatever they're going to do with the data to manipulate it for the purposes of the state, I will share that with you. So next month I'll be able to have that for you. I gave you a gifted and talented update. I'm working with Mr. Ackerman. We're taking care of music auditions. I got to sit in on music auditions yesterday at BMS, which was really nice. We have some more this week, and that's going well. We will be doing art GT referrals and portfolio reviews coming up soon. And now that we've done the NUIA, we'll be looking at academic gifted and talented referrals soon.
Yeah, and he already reached out to the gifted and talented, like math parents at least, so that I was very pleased as a parent to see some things happening. Because we haven't really had anything happen in a few years, like just very sparse. So
I'm
that's
glad.
exciting.
Thank you for that feedback. I appreciate that. So he and I are in pretty constant contact, and so I'm glad to hear that that's happening. I did give you a little bit of information about our November session of our new teacher class, and then I've been working with Todd quite a bit on updating his school's comprehensive needs assessment and his tier 3 grant. So we are ready. Didn't get it submitted today, Mr. West, but it will be submitted this week. That'll be taken care of, and yeah, lots going on in my world, but it's great because I'm doing a variety of things. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Oh, and I did give you, just for fun, a little top 20 RSU 25 education acronym page, because we throw around all those terms, and I wanted to make sure that you had a little cheat sheet in case you needed it.
We're gonna see that expand.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely need it.
I mean, there's more than 20, but I thought, let's go with 20 for now.
Will there be a quiz at the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Todd.
While we're recognizing successful students, we also had some very successful cross-country runners at the middle school, winning the PBML meet and also finishing second place, boys and girls. Boys were first, girls were second. So Will Heilman may not be the most decorated runner in Bucksport history come 5 or 6 years now. We'll have to see what these young bucks do by the time they get to the varsity level. Yeah. He set a high standard. Now they've got something to work for. Right?
Records are meant to be broken.
I guess so. Oh, my.
So one of the things I wanted to highlight in the middle school board report was the pizza oven build. Not so much that they built the pizza oven, but just really the learning that comes out of that. And we've talked a lot about post-COVID, how do we reconnect kids to school? How do we have them feel positive? How do we have them feel like school's important, they're each important to each other, and that they feel like they're doing something positive and making a difference. And it was really great over those 3 days to see students who at times have been challenging to engage in school. It was great to see them, work so hard and care so much and be so proud. We talk a lot about how proud we are of our students when they do various things, and the beaming looks on some of these students' faces was pretty neat. One of the neatest things I saw was a student, just a little tiny 7th grader, and at the end, when the guy who led the build was leaving, he walked up to him, he's like, I just really need to shake your hand. It was like an adult, right? Like sign of respect, mutual respect to give that handshake. And I think that was probably the first time he'd ever really felt that, and so it was really neat to see the way that, students have been able to feel connected and feel proud of what they're doing that way. We have 3 staff members at the high school who are experiential learning guides, and their job is to kind of help connect other classes to this sort of experiential learning so that we can provide similar opportunities to all students. And so we had a lot of students come out and they were like, oh, how do I get in STARS? And we reminded them that, the point of the greenhouse is to create a space to provide opportunities like that for all students, for all teachers. So it's not about having a special class where a small group of students get to have these opportunities, but it's really about at times like this where it's tough to get kids feeling like, I want to do my schoolwork. I want to show up and make a difference. We're trying to provide opportunities for them to do that across the curriculum and across their day so that they can all, feel that sense of pride that those kids felt
at the end of this. I guess that was 2 weeks ago now. So it was a great experience. There's some of their reflections and thoughts in there in my report that I think if you didn't get a chance to look at those, it's worth looking at how the kids felt about that whole experience. And it'd be great to have 300 kids feeling that way, on a regular basis. The other thing I wanted to highlight is that, we spent a lot of time focusing on classroom management and behavior expectations, kind of making sure we have safe and respectful and orderly learning environments. And we've had a lot of good work. And I think it's fair to say that there's pretty common and consistent expectations. A lot of work has been done around strategies. One of the things that we're noticing is just like, we're used to recognizing kids at a certain age level. You say, oh, well, they're not reading at that level. What we're noticing is that there's now like a social skills gap in some ways. And it's not hard to figure out why. A lot of opportunities that younger students would have had in the upper elementary grades to kind of learn and practice some of those social skills that lead into middle school. They didn't have an opportunity to do that. And so we're thinking about, just like the way that we're thinking about math or reading or something like that, how do we, for kids who need it, kind of step back a couple grades, do some instruction, provide some skills so they can carry those forward. We're starting to do the same thing with social skills. We're looking at our 6th grade primarily. I'm not a developmental psychologist, but whatever happens in 3rd and 4th grade that they didn't get an opportunity to do, it seems to kind of have affected the age group. And not just in Bucksport. I think, when you talk to people at other schools, that seems to be one of the age groups that was more impacted than others with the pandemic. So we're really trying to think about how can we help those students do things like listen, work together, understand perspectives that are different from their own kind of thing. If the teacher says, I know you did the work, but this was the work you were supposed to do. There's ways that we can work towards that more productively than just saying, I'm not going to do it. So those are some of the things that we're working on, and we're going to, with the start of the 2nd trimester, we're going to be working on that with all 6th graders. We're going to be getting some parent communications to send out to talk about how they can partner with us in that effort, things they can do at home that can also help, or questions they can ask. And so we're excited to dig into that too. So
Quite alarming. Very alarming, the problems that you're having. That is really extreme, and those are very important skills.
Yeah.
I hope that you guys can get that put
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
That is extremely alarming. Thank you.
Well, yeah, I mean, they spent a lot of time at home or,
Yeah.
in like recess. You don't think about it, but all those, that year where they had recess with 10 kids instead of 80, and then you put them in a recess with 80 kids, they don't always know how to behave there. They don't know how to,
That's
really
awesome.
fun and it's really exciting. They don't know how to handle it, so.
Yeah, so I was just, as you were, saying all of that, I was kind of reflecting about some of the experiences I had going through school that helped with a lot of those areas. And, I'm thinking of field trips to Camp Kiev and Camp Jordan with the ropes courses and team building exercises, challenge day with the emotional learning exercises that you do there. Is there still stuff like that going on? And is there a way we can incorporate more of that to help with what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
so some of it, we're actually for the 6th grade advisory program, we're actually leaning pretty heavily. Camp Kiev made a book with a lot of the, not like a ropes challenge course, right? But some of the activities that teach those skills. For a long time, maybe Mr. Tripp, did it end, or was it prior to the annual Kiev trip? Yeah, it was very expensive. That was it wasn't that it wasn't valuable. It's just increasingly expensive. But I did mention to Miss Ellis that if anywhere there's a grant that can, I'm a big believer in sending kids to.
There is also
Kiev or
facilities like
Hurricane Island,
G-Force Adventures up in Brewer has a beautiful ropes course with the same sort of setup where you could do those same team building exercises. They've got the balance bridge, they've got the the
Excuse
two,
my phone.
yeah,
Sorry,
two
excuse
little
my phone.
areas where you gotta
Yes,
get everybody
somebody
across,
calls.
yeah, the tight ropes and all
Lot.
that.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
there's
a
alternatives.
very effective way to teach those, especially like when you think about this age group of kids who live in a world of stimulation, right? If it's not exciting and active, you're probably not gonna sit them down and teach them how to do it. It's gonna have to be active and engaged.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, and I'm sorry about my phone, but it's a gymnasium, right? So you could do it during gym time, right? The team building, is that where you guys are thinking about putting it? It's in the gym, like team building
Well,
or gym activities, or?
Sort of, we could, the problem is like we have our phys ed classes at that time.
Right.
So it's like the gym facility may not be where it happens. And for some of these things, you would want like the actual, the course where there's.
Well, I mean,
much
there's
more-
other things too, like when you collectively pass a ball
Yep.
to each other,
Yep.
other,
So we might,
safety falls
yeah,
and
we
things
we
like
might do them other places.
Yeah, yeah.
Potentially even we could put in a ropes course on the Miles Lane trails.
Maybe.
It'd be pretty cool.
Any other questions? No? Thank you very much, Todd, and it's really great to see all of these new exciting things happening in the school. Thank you. Next, we've got Andrea Marks. I'm trying I can't get it. It's provided. The only one that slowed me down was Josh is in the middle of the list. and so I keep skipping.
We have my report, and we've been busy this past month. I've been able to spend a lot of time with the children and the staff. My staff has been involved in parent-teacher conferences. They're getting ready with progress notes that will go home with report cards. Recently at the admin, special education went to Portland and went to conferences. Really the big piece, very similar to what Mr. West is talking about, is really the approach that we're looking at with tiers and looking at is more of a holistic approach. I believe the board has listened to Mr. Lucy talk about personal learning and different pathways, and that's really what all those pieces and focuses are. We ended up working and looking at different eligibility protocols, criteria, what warrants additional adult support, what can be taken care of with accommodation, instructional pieces within that process. And we're just looking forward to bringing it back to staff. We're looking at what we have for resources and what we'll need in the coming budget year. And if you have any questions, but that's pretty much our lives in special ed world.
Any questions for special ed? Thank you very much. Now we get that. Okay. It is.
You should receive a copy of my board report in the drive. And some highlights. First of all, I want to say thank you to the special ed department, who's been a huge help in supporting some of our kiddos, working closely with us to help support some of our kids who are struggling. So thank you very much. So first of all, our after-school reading and writing and SEL program is wrapping up this week and is very successful. And we're looking at starting another session in January. Will be our next round for that. I'm really excited. I didn't put this in the board report because we're working on it still, but I talked about our learning labs at the end of our school day that we built into our schedule with our UA team. We sent a survey out to our students to kind of figure out what the interests were as far as music, library, and art. We had a lot of interest in all those areas. We had some kids who just weren't interested, and that's okay. So the UA team has been working on sorting out those groups and figuring out where to start. Josh, I'll be in touch with you about getting some high school students to come down and support. I know we have a few kids who are interested in doing that. So the plan for that is to start after Thanksgiving break. And see how it goes, and I'll let you guys know how it goes. Now we have a student council. We had elections on election day on November 8th. And that involves 4th grade students. We have 8 new elects this year. They're an absolute wonderful team. I put their picture in the board report. I had my first meeting with them this week to help me plan our first Pride Assembly, and they were so excited. So they're pretty much in charge of it. They're gonna MC it. They're gonna usher students and staff into the gym. They're gonna help me read aloud. They're gonna help with music, so they're all excited. That will be happening next Tuesday afternoon. Then we send them off home for vacation. Another great experience that kindergarten had the Bucksport High School French students. Mrs. Borden brought her French classes down to kindergarten, and they sang the 5 Little Pumpkins song, the kids in English and French. It was a riot, so the kids were like, what are they saying?
It was a thing.
I'm just
saying, it was a thing at my house.
They had a grand time. Kendall brought down, each group throughout the day, each one of her groups, and
Yeah, my son had to make a shirt. It was a thing.
the kids were trying to speak French after they left. So I invited the French class to come back and maybe do something else in the near future. So hopefully we can convince her to do that. And then this past week, or last week, actually, we had our parent-teacher conferences, which was really nice after about 3 or 4 years. And we had a huge turnout, I thought. And I had a lot of compliments and, from teachers saying how nice it was. I was asked to sit in on a few conferences because we have a lot of new teachers who are nervous and have never done a conference, but it went well. Everything went very well. So that's what's going on. I was laying through it. Any questions?
Questions, Darcy? Thank you very much. Next up is Jen Tierney from Aspire.
Oh, no. Sorry, I missed a big opportunity. Tonight was going to be Mr. Foster's video debut.
We're all with
So, were you highlighting accountants? It wasn't on accountants. It was this month's character element for Miles Lane. I mentioned to you last month that we had. So just to remind you how those work, so whatever the character element at Miles Lane is, then a community member is identified, as well as a teacher or staff person in the schools is identified as someone who could speak to how does that character element apply to their daily work life. And Mr. Foster represented honesty. Do you think is very important in the field of accounting? The staff person was Ms. Young. We've been thinking about trying to highlight some of the folks that the students see on a regular basis, but also thinking about some of the teachers that we hadn't hit yet. So we're looking at UA. And so the perspective on that one was you have to be honest if a student is not playing an instrument or singing it properly. You have to do that in a respectful but honest way, or you won't have a very good outcome. So so that was this month, and there will be more to come in the series as the months go on. So that connects to our community event that we had. I told you it was happening. The last board meeting, I believe, was a Tuesday, and the event was that Thursday. So we had we had a good turnout, and then we had several people who weren't able to make it, but they responded that they were interested. So we have 17 businesses in the community that are willing to work with students on a variety of different opportunities. And we had 15 different options, and every option has multiple people that are willing to help. So as we expected, people need to know what the opportunities are, and they were really willing and able to do small things like be in a 30-second video clip, up to taking on, potentially an intern for a semester. So huge range of possibilities and lots more. We'll keep developing those, but it was very helpful to spread that message, get a lot of really positive feedback. So that went well. And same with great turnout at Trunk or Treat, and had a chance to meet some younger families. And we've kind of modified our longer line to careers are everywhere, when we just keep reinforcing careers are everywhere with our elementary school students. And so that was our theme for Trunk or Treat. And so we had featured 4 Halloween themed careers on our candy bags that we gave away. And we'll do the same in December. We've been invited to give out more candy at the holiday lights parade. So we're going to focus on holiday themed careers, and kind of just keep pushing that idea of recognizing all the career possibilities that exist. And then as students are older, helping them see what those are like. So a couple things. Tomorrow we get to go back to House of Pizza. Most of you heard about that last year. Some of the 4-year-olds were went to House of Pizza. Well, it went so well. We're going back again. So that'll be a great happening. And then on the other end of the spectrum, when the seniors are accepted into their post-secondary programs, we ask if they would be willing to tell us what they're excited about, what helped them on their pathway, and to share what their future aspiration is, so that we can broaden what the guidance office already does, promoting congratulating them. So every year we have, maybe 20 or so students who'll be willing to take the time to fill in the extra. So we try to highlight those. So I've had my first 3 of those come back in the last week. So it's nice to see those acceptances coming in for students and to really find out what they're excited about. And one thing we've been able to do with that is to ask them, if we can identify a person in that field that's willing to have a virtual chat with you, would you be interested in doing so? So we're starting to see those yeses come in, and that will help us find some individual conversations for those seniors, as well as help with the bigger conversations for larger group chats, webinars for healthcare happening. Buck Talk, the first Buck Talk is coming up. So we aren't necessarily organizing those, we're just supporting what's out there and trying to broaden the range of possibilities with those. So field trips have been happening. Happy to take students out, help them think about their interests. We've had engineering focused tours, and this Friday is UMA Bangor. Other than that, we did finish our goals, which I can share with you, share an email out to you now that they have been finalized. So we have our goals and our measurables for this year that have been sent as draft to the administrative team and then to our steering committee. And then the leadership team at the high school yesterday and at the elementary level yesterday, the leadership team got our goals. Darcy, is that correct?
Yeah.
They did, okay.
I was there.
Oh, okay, good, because we weren't there in person, but Darcy had requested that they have them for their meeting. So we're taking teacher input to say, okay, this is this year's goal and measurable. Do you have any specific ideas that relate to that? Of course, they can make a recommendation or a request for just about anything that they think is going to fit, but this was just to kind of generate some ideas that would best match the goals. So we're glad that's underway. And to, yesterday also, middle school students took, there's close to 150 so far, have taken the survey to help us know what their interests are. So it'll be helpful for them, hopefully too, but it'll help us know what their interests are. So when we're looking for identifying potential speakers or trips, we'll know a better range of what they actually are interested in versus just offering up a random business or community member. So that's about it.
Wait a minute, so you're gonna change from selecting the people that you're bringing in to talk to the students, to letting the students tell you who to bring in?
Well, there's always been a mix. And so it will never, I wouldn't say necessarily be one way or the other, but when a speaker is coming, usually a teacher or the STARS group, when they were working on a specific project, a teacher will say, we're looking for a speaker in this category.
I see.
So we want it to be curriculum connected too,
Right.
but we want to make sure that we're bringing in people that meet interests for students to help them further identify if that's something that they'd like to know more about, so they can hear about like a day in
Right.
their career.
But could this potentially leave out other businesses like on the outskirts that maybe, you know, not as many students would be as interested in? Like, maybe not everybody's interested in like septic cleaning, but we still, but we still require that job.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
So
I
in
mean,
the
it's
middle,
not pleasant, but it is what it is.
Oh, sure. So because we're pre-K through 12, we're trying to hit on a very wide variety. So somebody might be featured in a video, they might be featured in a virtual tour. They might be they might be a speaker, or when the students are older, they do identify more things that they're specifically interested in. So it's a range.
I mean, do you think we get a
Frame it
cycle?
As a driver for the sanitation department is not a group of.
I never said that, you said that, but what I'm saying is maybe there should just be like a, you know, like a cycle, that way then, you know, if you were to take like a list of all of the local businesses and keep like, you know, like a tally of who's, because I do feel like, you know, just because you don't get your ideal job, that doesn't mean that the job that you don't, Abby, are you with me on this, that the job that you're,
Every job is.
I'm asking for help. Come over here.
Every job is important, yeah.
Exactly, just because you don't get it, you know, doesn't mean it's less than, you know.
No, I mean, there's a huge range in anything we're going to try to offer. Healthcare would be an example where if there's a opportunity for someone to speak to students about a career they could get right out of high school, and then to the range of something they would need to go to school for many years for. We do want them to see that there's a really broad range.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm saying, like, that could probably like narrow a category if you're asking them to choose for you, rather than you saying, this is what's in the community for you, that, you know, that instead of just, because, I mean, how many of you thought that I would say sanitation, you know, how many of you thought that I would say that? Nobody. It's a job.
Well, I
role.
think that's why she does both.
Yeah.
Because they, you know, we are always looking for different, you know, as somebody who's on the committee, we're always looking for different careers to,
Yeah.
because some kids might not even think
Exactly.
about that as being a
Exactly.
career.
Exactly, well, I mean,
Right.
it doesn't even have, I mean, like, they make good money, let's not lie, I mean, they make good money, so, I mean, you know, that's all I'm saying.
In the particular example of what they just did, it helps them identify clusters of careers. So there's 16 clusters.
Yes.
And then it can help you identify within those, did you realize these skills work for this field? So it's not a one-to-one match or even a job we necessarily have specifically here in the community. But as far as the folks who are willing in the community, I think so the list is, I want to say there's 70 businesses with just in Bucksport alone, not in addition to the outlying. So there's a
Yeah, that's
very
why I was
broad
saying, you know,
range. Yeah.
if there was like a cycle, you know, so that you could, you know, because it, you know.
We're not turning anybody away.
Yeah, I know,
They
right?
want- Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah, but I'm happy though, otherwise, that's all I have.
Yeah, no,
Great. Well, Jen, I just wanted to say thank you for recognizing the accounting community, because oftentimes we do get forgotten.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
not-
yeah.
We're not quite to the level of septic sanitation.
Right,
but
right.
We're almost there.
But you're to replace the next
Listen,
generation,
both of
right?
those are honesty. Both of those are very honest.
Great.
Any other questions?
Thank you very
Okay.
much. Next, we have Kat.
So if you haven't had a chance to check out my report, it's really long. And the good news is it's mostly pictures. So we ended our first ceramics class and Molly took some fantastic pictures after the last firing for us. I didn't print them out because black and white just isn't going to do it justice, but if you haven't had a chance, take a peek. They did a great job. She's going to offer classes through Adult Ed again in the spring. And we also attended trunk or treat, and I only know this because I had 250 candy packets all ready to go with our HiSET invitations. We did 250 children the first hour.
Whoa.
It was really.
And you had like 150 students there giving out candy, right? You had a lot.
No,
You're saying that some of it. I don't
No, I wasn't. But they were just, you guys had the whole back row. I thought that was pretty cool.
we were
With all the
really-
HiSET education and.
Yep, the Y was great. They had the back parking lot and I said, could we have right in front of our learning center, the whole
Yeah.
space so that we could kind of really promote it? And they did. We filled the whole space.
They really did.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Pictures are there if you'd like to look at our humiliation and costumes. It was a little warmer than we expected. So I have to tell you, we had 5 high school volunteers. Garrett Carrier was our Scooby. Cody and Natasha Monreal and Corey and Mackenzie Grant. And they did it with full wigs. Well, Cody was Shaggy, so, but we all know Shaggy's a little more laid back, so he didn't know a wig or anything. But these kids did it full wigs, beards, costumes. In Garrett's case, he had this big stuffed dog head on his head, a full costume. And if you knew how many times these kids scooched down to kid level for pictures. And so I would say at least a third of the kids took pictures with them and they never stopped smiling. They stayed in character and it was all done and us adults are going, oh, we gotta pick up. We turned around and the kids had it almost done. So, and we didn't even have to ask them. So I gotta tell you, we got some really great kids at this high school. We've learned some good ethics and I was really, really happy their legs are young. But if you look at the pictures, in the skeleton with the cap on it is one of our new medical assistant purchases. It's fully articulated. I brought it out to the med lab and my science teacher promptly stole it. So we're really excited about that. It was a fairly expensive purchase, but we've wanted that for some time. We didn't get as many people at open house as we had hoped, but we are, I think, on our 6th intake since the event. So in about a week and a half, we've brought in 6 and we're still trying to schedule in before Thanksgiving additional students that want to get in. So it didn't bring them into the open house, but it got the awareness out and in the way that we wanted them to. And that's just for the HiSET program. It also brought other people in. It was, oh, that's where you are. The big thing, this was funded with HiSET money because HiSET's getting a little tired of being called GED. It is a different company. And they just really wanted to get the word out of who they are. So they funded that entirely. It didn't come out of regular school funds. So we're pretty pleased with that. On the other side of that, they're having some glitches with the new company that bought HiSET. So we're still not testing, but it is not on our end. We're ready and able to go when they are. And We're gearing up our Strengthening Maine Workforce Grant. We just did come out of a meeting today, and I had reported last time that we were signed and ready to go, and I guess we're just waiting for one more office at the state level to sign off, and then we'll be ready to go. We have a medical assistant instructor with 10 years at the college level that we've picked. We're really happy to get her. I didn't realize who she was until she walked in. We tried to get her before and she wasn't free. I'm not going to give a name out tonight. She has not had a chance to tell her current employer, but I will have that for you next time. But we are really excited. She has experience doing it via technology, large and small classes, and we're pretty excited to be able to do that and get moving forward. So we have set a tentative December 14th date for our next medical assistant class. And we're gearing up for our CAD class in the spring. Ms. Monreal is almost done with her training on that, and Tech was bringing in the computers and getting them geared up for us. So we're pretty excited about that. Any questions?
Thank you very much. All right, the last one we have is Jim Morrow. Can you just see him? Oh, here he comes.
Make my way out of that. Tech has always been busy. Since the last time we briefed with you folks last month, this month has been more conferences. I think I've been to more conferences in the last 30 days than I normally do in a year, which is very good. Some of those, we had a main partner, First Light, which is a fiber supplier. They gave us free passes to go to a cyber conference in Boston, which we went to last week. Myself and Dylan Pointer went down. We met with people from Homeland Security, from Veeam, from Extreme Networks, people that are very, very big in what they do. Met a gentleman named Ed Holt. We'll never forget the name. He's pretty much invented cybersecurity when it comes to switching. And he was in there, like he said, before the internet. So you got to see it grow, become a menacing thing that he knew it would because we're human. And so he's been spending the rest of his life trying to make it human resistant, which is always what we talk about. So that was a very good conversation for us to have. I also got a chance to go to MSMA, which some of you joined my session, which was extremely riveting in the world of cybersecurity. I think Mr. Burgess can vouch for that. I will tell you that we had overflow. Mrs. Gorley came back from her meeting and said, there was a guy there that was at your session and he just kept going. And so our conversation is getting heard and is getting other schools on board with the conversation of cybersecurity, not as a shock and awe, but as the fact I think we pointed out in our session was there's resources. Here they are. You've got to reach out. You've got to be proactive. And then CSTA this weekend, we mentioned last, I think it was actually 2 months ago that Allison Braley had won an award. That's a regional award. And it's just to see her there with her peers and her peers treat her the way she did because of the fact of what she's done and continues to contribute to was great to see. I was also an odd duck there because I'm an operational IT guy. I'm not a classroom teacher, never claimed to be. So when they started handing out evaluation forms that they had modified and how to work with students with that need some modifications in the classroom, I felt like I had the flight mechanism immediately, but I sat strong, failed miserably, and it was an awesome experience. So I do try to blend in that educational side as we're out there. As I mentioned with cybersecurity, we're also piloting a program for MSMA, which is our insurance carrier or supplier, I should say. I'm not going to get deep into the details there. It's rather technical and who we're using. I don't like to name off our vendors in that case, but we are piloting a program that could be a statewide opportunity for other schools. It's rather in depth, and the questions they're asking me made me go through and realize how much of what we have going on I do know and how much I need to refresh more often. Probably in Ms. Ellis's reports coming up, there'll be more reports out on this, but we are completing our purchase process of computer science carts supplied by the state of Maine with federal funds. And the idea from the Department of Education is that with these devices, every school has the opportunity to integrate computer science into subjects. So it's not just the equipment as we preach with the MLTI program, it's bigger than that, it's also professional development. We will, in the near future, be evaluating and speaking with some staff that may be interested in attending a training, which comes with a stipend. They'll backfill our classroom if we need classrooms filled to make sure that the equipment they send us is used, not just shelved, not just more stuff that we have. The equipment we're getting is a mix of Legos, Sphero bots, and VR cubes that the kids can actually tangibly interact with.
What?
So how do
Wait a
you,
minute, what?
we'll have a lot more of that once we have it, because right now it's all pictures and sales points to me.
Oh,
And when someone else was cutting the final bill, as they promised Mr. Boothby, it was a lot easier to go, okay, sounds like a great idea. And then they're gonna help out with the integration. Emma Marie Banks is the DOE computer science expert. And she came on board during COVID and has seen us flourish through COVID, which is one of the things I learned at CSTA is they had a panel. She's very excited for this program. She's very excited for those who have adopted it. Some districts did not. It took us a little bit to swallow. There's a lot of aspects to it, timing and reimbursements and money up front and what are we gonna do with it? And like Allison asked for a meeting to figure out what we're gonna do with 60
hold on.
containers of Legos.
How big is this program gonna be? Like a couple of grades, a classroom?
The intent is K to 12.
Okay,
And the key word here is integration. It's not computer science class. It's not a computer science teacher. It's integration. So I will supply, I'll do a report next month intentionally for this, or actually I'll share with Christina.
We'll do it together.
So that, yeah, together. That's what I was together with her report this month too. just
wait a
so-
minute, one more question. So is this gonna work like the stars thing that he's got going on?
No, no,
Sort of. Okay.
Those are all the things.
Sorry,
Yeah, no,
my mind.
there'll be more of this coming out, but it's a very hot topic in the school, so I want to make sure that you folks heard about this before you get it from up here somewhere. We are on board with the program, and they do plan on doing that professional development in January, so we should have all the carts and everything. We will have all the carts, everything in, paperwork to Mrs. Gorley, so she doesn't lock me out of the office. And then in January, the professional development will begin. And that is
So
directly
many
paid for by the state.
questions.
And we will have a lot.
Yes.
And we'll get a lot of it out to you, Christina will in her report. But
We're doing it together.
the great part about this is those vendors have lessons. So it's not just here's our equipment, you can do cool things. It's here's 30 lessons you can integrate from 6 to 12 in Legos. And the VR cubes have something like 200 prepackaged lessons.
I think I have to Google that. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, so very interesting for us and a lot of what we're doing. Jen was talking, where's Jen still here?
Oh,
There you go. Jen was talking about student success, student involvement. And one of the things that I've always had here is I try to get the students to speak for themselves, especially in this building. We want them to come down to the tech office. We want them to engage with us. Our use of the help desk has increased with the students. It's always been open to them. We get 4 or 5 requests a year. This year, especially with our students that are co-enrolled, HCPC, they're taking Husson courses. They don't always have the luxury of being here and reaching out to Mr. Joy down in the office. So I see more help desks coming from students and we're engaging almost like in a workplace. So it's very nice to see that and it's very much so encouraged. So that's our student professional development that we're working on. Cool. Any questions other than with the computer science cards? 'Cause
Sorry.
I don't really have answers yet.
No, but I do have a comment about that at least in healthcare, you cannot work in healthcare if you can't do basic IT stuff with the assistance of an IT expert over the phone. And honestly, there's like 10 things you gotta know to do before you even contact them. And so that's very, very helpful. It's a very good skill.
And a collaboration, I mentioned the HCTC. Katie Hollenbach over there is an integrator with Ellsworth and one of their tech persons, I can't recall his name right now. They reached out to us with issues. We worked on it together. And the solution we came up with is helping other students in other school districts.
Yeah.
And we're seeing the same thing with Husson. Husson has certain aspects that the students need to get to, but we're still accountable. We still gave them a device. So what they expose themselves to on that device comes down to how much are we paying attention. So we have to run our safeties and our filters, but allow them access to their classrooms and what they can do.
Oh, that's.
And so that's a layer of putting stuff out there, teaching students how to use resources that are there and us developing this year.
It's
So I've been
way
taking notes this
past.
year, so next year we can go.
Yeah, it's way past. Did you try shutting it off and turning it back
Yeah.
on?
But that is a key feature, so.
Yeah.
But that's a real important one that some people still don't know how to do.
Unbelievable.
Or don't remember to do.
Anyway, that's.
Any other questions, comments?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This brings us to discussion and overview of the MSMA conference.
So we had a great turnout of board members, so annually, we typically will just kind of go around and, get a quick overview, takeaways, give feedback. If you'd save Ms. Foster for last, because she was like in every drawing.
And we'll
I am
start at
all
this
in
side
in
of the
every
table.
conference I go to,
That was cool.
all in.
So we'll start in this direction and then we'll.
8.
Eighth place, you stayed at 8.
That's good. It was good being back in person, getting to see all kinds of faces that you've seen before. And I enjoyed a couple of the legal ones done by Drummond and Woodson. Kind of listen to some of the things that have gone on and how they've been handled and maybe not quite handled correctly. And how we've been doing a pretty good job at it.
Same thing, Peter. I think being back in person is very valuable. You will have conversation with folks in other districts about common things that we're all facing. I went to a number of different, I always go to the legal ones. I think our law firm does an exemplary job of presenting and telling us what we need, the information that we need. One I went to this year also was Meet the Commissioner. It was great she answered every question to the best of her ability. She was forthcoming that she would get back to people that she didn't know the answer. And it was refreshing. Somebody was there that was actually student focused. Found that to be very nice.
She likely to continue to work there for more than a month.
Yes, she is.
Unlike another student focused one that we had. in the past.
Right. But no, I went to special education law. That's always evolving, as I'm sure Andrea could attest to that. And it's amazing that I think one of the cases that we talked about was a district did everything right. The parents agreed with them, but they still lost and got sued. I can't remember all the details, but it was quite interesting. The other takeaway I had from the whole conference was how well we are doing as a district. We have dealt with problems that other districts are just figuring out are actually problems. Felt very confident when we went into these sessions, coming out of them anyways, that, yeah, we're doing that, or we're addressing that, or we've already addressed it, so. That was what I very much enjoyed the conference.
Great. So next, this is my first one, and I found it very interesting, very eye-opening. I focused on, well, there were five seminars, 5 one-hour workshops, and some of them overlapped. But the 3 issues that I dealt with was school board interaction with the public and the hot topics that today's school boards are facing. In Southern Maine, it seems like it's really ramped up in that area of the general public in school board meetings, which is fine. But some of it was a little bit over the top from what I heard. So I learned a lot about that. That was the eye-opening part. The second thing that I dealt with was it was a 1-hour seminar on student threats, potentially dangerous student, and kind of what we went through today in the state, and the psychological and the human aspect of the dangerous or the threatening student, and what you have to do to deal with that. There's a state task force, and one of the ladies who, I think she's a doctor or psychologist who gave the seminar, was very eye-opening on how we can't profile anybody in this situation. There is no set profile for a threatening student. And then the third thing, which was very interesting to me, was social media and in the school system in the RSUs. Gorham had a superintendent and a principal who just were over the top and very interesting on how they promote their school and their school system through social media, and how positive it's been with the general public of Gorham and the students. And they've really grabbed that and run with, and I was very impressed with that. It was very interesting. In fact, I talked to Jim after the meeting about how we can actually get more involved in social media and promotion of our school system. And Jim basically told me that we're doing a lot of the stuff that they're doing right now. But like David said, and what I found out is our RSU is really very proactive and very impressive compared to the rest of the RSUs around the state. And I was very proud of that, just a proactive way that our process works in this town. And we should all be proud of ourselves. I was very proud. It was my first exposure to this whole thing, and I walked away very proud of our RSU. And that's all I could say. I'm very happy with it.
Well, where can I start? I like conferences. I go and I go hard. So they had all kinds of door prizes you could win.
Everywhere.
Yeah. So I signed up for everything. But one of the first things that happened is we had a keynote speaker who was talking about trust. And one problem is that a lot of school boards are not trusted. Again, just to kind of mirror what these guys are already saying, that's not really where we're at. However, we were tasked with coming up with a plan to increase the trust in our community. And I thought about, prior to being on the school board, the only school board member I knew of was my brother-in-law. And that's because I know him. And so I thought people may in general not know us. So we kind of came up with the idea of getting our pictures taken and a little bio to be put on the website. If you guys are in agreement, just so that people can see who we are, like match our names and our faces and a little bit about us, just to kind of like show people who we are in the community. So I would like to go forward with that if we could. I don't think it has to be anything formal or anything, but if you guys are interested in that. And then a couple cool things really happened when they did do all the little breakout sessions. One session I went to was talking about the school. It's in the county, I can't remember what it's called, Katahdin Regional, and they have a big outdoor education program. And Mr. West, I thought of your experiential learning area, and it was really cute because they were like, we even have a walking trail that's 0.62 miles. So like they were super proud of their school and all they had, and they had wonderful things. Guys, we have all this stuff already. Like we are, and we're miles ahead of so many things. There was nothing that came up that I thought, oh, we haven't ever had that happen, or we haven't ever thought about that, or we haven't done that. Everything we had already done, or we were in the process of, or we thought of. So just really, like you said, I think pride. I'm really proud of our school board, of our administrator, of our administrators, our teachers. I just think we have a lot really going well in our community, and I think not everybody unfortunately knows about that, but we'll have to spread the word, I guess. And then lastly, because I do like door prizes, it was kind of cool. I won $50 to Dunkin' Donuts, and then when I looked at it, I actually won 10 $5 cards, so I gave them out to everybody. I didn't even keep one for myself. I gave them to people who didn't win things, and it was so nice because it cost me nothing. And I gave one to the guy that covered me, so I could go, covered my patients while I left, so I could go to the conference. And then I also, this is really cool, I won a gift certificate to take 30 students to the Challenger Learning Center. Now I know that's something we already do. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys want to take 30 more students or use it to defray the cost of 30 students. I don't really care. And I don't know the best way to disseminate that, but I think it's for you guys. So however you want, but I was super excited to win the things that I won, and I'm really glad that I could share them with the students and with my colleagues. So
that's so awesome.
It was really fun. We missed
so
you.
awesome.
I wish you had been there.
I wish. My home life has been very demanding.
Well, next year you'll have to go and sign up for all the prizes with me.
So there's an app for the conference where you sign up as an attendee.
Yes.
And it actually has a map of the building, and
it was great.
and you score
earn
points for
points
your
by doing
interactions
it.
for going to sessions. And I don't know, there were 260 some odd people registered, and Abby finished what, top 10?
Eight. I finished 8.
I think I was.
Dan was up there, he's just out there.
But the top person won like a big money prize. I can't even remember.
No one's gonna
It wasn't
challenge
me.
that.
Next year.
I know how we did. 8 million points.
Well, Gus suggested more than one meetup, which my meetup was at the 99. I suggested it while we were doing it.
That was cool. Yeah, good bonding.
Did you get a Powerball ticket? I mean,
You know, I
probably
did, and
did.
I actually won Powerball,
Did
but
you?
it was only $20.
That's
So-
that is excellent for a Powerball ticket.
But
That is
that's actually,
excellent.
yeah, I am a Powerball winner.
Yes.
Oh, that's ball.
All right, this sounds like it was a whole lot of fun.
I don't have a
So,
lot, the kind
next
of
year, I
luck
think
that's gonna
Chelsea's
change
taking
anyone's
kids to
life,
the
but I have some good luck.
I don't know,
You
but
worked for it, though.
You know-
worked for it.
You know,
Abby, I'm kind of wondering whether or not I might be able to fit into your shoes. I mean, if you could just, toss them
You have
over.
giant feet, you can.
Probably.
the nice part is to hopefully take advantage, and if you can go, it's good professional development for board members. It
Yeah.
really is the biggest professional development opportunity for board members.
Once the dates are announced next year, I'm gonna try to get a time off
You
from
take
work again,
advantage
so I
of it.
can
It's-
go.
I
I
think it's
really
well
enjoyed
worth
it.
I've always been an advocate for board members to go if they can go.
Except for when that guy in the hotel just watched me swimming. That was weird.
Wait,
There's
did you
some
say,
opportunities.
I didn't even say that.
We just, the comfort in, and there was just a guy who goes, do you mind if I sit here while you swim? And I was like, no, and I thought maybe he'd have a phone or something. No.
You don't want him to have a phone.
So I was like, all right, I guess I'm done.
Where did you guys stay?
At the Comfort Inn, I think.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Real rich.
Yeah, that was a little uncomfortable,
Real rich.
but otherwise. it was
Bringing
all
into
good.
our space.
I would want him to have a phone. Not
Let's,
at all.
let's go back to calendar announcements here.
Yeah, we're looking at,
So there's one announcement we need to make first.
yes, you do, I'm sorry.
And that announcement is, it's that time of year again, that we do our annual assessment of Jim's performance. And Sue will be sending you into your mailbox a performance evaluation. Please take that very seriously and get that back to her as quickly as you can, so that we can have all of that information tallied up for our next meeting. And now back to the show.
Now back to the show. Okay. So curriculum committee scheduled for December 8th. That's curriculum / Aspire committee. December 8th, policy December 13th. Finance committee December 20th, which is the date of the meeting. School board December 20th. Facilities committee is December 15th. We're talking behind me, make me nervous. And so we'll go from there, okay? And
I have it from 8. 'Cause remember we
yeah,
discussed that?
I think we had a lot of conversation. I think the 8th is correct.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so yeah, that's right, because we talked about how
Because-
curriculum.
So everybody
committees-
can make it.
So, yeah, that's the date.
Yeah. So we'll be on the 8th, and that will be in the basement.
That's, I liked it. down there.
Okay, well,
There was the candy dish right in front of me. Is that always
You're
full?
welcome for the candy.
it's left over from Trunk or Treat. Okay, so
I had to fight
facilities on the
candy
8th.
for it.
Yeah. All right,
All right, then, with all of those announcements, I look for a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second, we have a motion and a second. All